The History of Podcasting project is now in its 6th year, and during this time, Lance Anderson, based in Los Angeles, and myself, Dean Whitbread, based in London, have been developing a carefully researched history book called The History of Podcasting. This is a book written by podcasters who were there from the very start. Our first major asset is that we are collecting verified first-person testimonies, narratives from podcasters and from those whose work created the medium and developed the industry. To achieve this, we are setting up linked websites. The first of these will be based on the book, which, as well as offering traditional printed volumes, will offer other ways of accessing the book, for example, via audio. The second is called Podcast Artifacts, and this is a searchable archive such as you find in a museum or library, containing material related to podcast events, illustrating key moments in the development of the medium, and providing time-stamped evidence of who did what, where, and when. Along the way, we aim to make sure that this history of podcasting is complete, error-checked and factually verified. Existing histories are often short, contain many errors, and scant in their coverage of the world outside. Aside from tunnel vision, there is a straightforward reason for this. The first few podcasts used American English and English, but following immediately along, other nations produced podcasts in different languages. This is a major exclusion which we will rectify. Our approach to writing is to create a comprehensive and complete history which is truly international. This global history should be carefully recorded, written in the languages of podcasting. It's that combination of personal and historical which inspires us. The history of unknown facts, the opening of international barriers, and the support of a worldwide open culture. What we love about the project is our quest to find the backstories, to feature important innovations which were thought up and first used by podcasters, and to show this fascinating media history with its thousands of narratives, failures and successes. To back up this endeavour, we set up the History of Podcasting project as a non-profit organisation earlier this year. The History of Podcasting project was registered in the UK on the 2nd of January 2024, and its official name is the History of Podcasting Project Limited. The company is limited by guarantee, which means that we are legally obliged to return profits to the company for the benefit of the organisation and thereby the community that we serve. Lance and I have made a good team. It's been such an interesting partnership to be involved in. We bounce ideas back and forth, develop the good ones, and our smart friends and supporters give us feedback. What we need to build now is a bigger team. Once our donors and sponsors step up, which of course they will once the campaign launches, among the first things we'll be doing is to fund a small team on a modest rate. The second thing will be to build the websites. While that's going on, writing. We are looking for people who understand this mission and who want to play their part in the project. Writing is now underway. What enables us is that we have the most wonderful network of people who were there in the early days, and an expanding network of podcasters who have arrived since. The stories that we use are not just accounts of other people's accounts, they are interviews. I've been one of the podcasters interviewing other podcasters, and Lance's friends have been interviewing one another using a very carefully thought out questionnaire. We are going to produce a lot of text. We know that we could write the whole thing, but we'd rather make sure that everybody understands what we're doing and how, and then we need researchers. We need people who can follow texts and copy edit, and people who can help us with the verification issue, which is a big deal. So despite the enjoyment of putting this together with a glimmer of future recognition for years of work, this history book is not a work of fiction or fantasy. When we say researched, we mean both discovered and verified. We need graphic designers, we have outlined drafts. We need to build a membership database, which of course could be international podcasters from anywhere. We also aim to open up our archives for educational purposes and to provide production support for podcasters. If podcasters wish to share their skills, we will support them and introduce them to the world. This gives our project a positive and dynamic side which will increase production expertise and offer options and advice for those entering the world of podcasting. We want this history book to exist in the British Library and in the United States Library of Congress. And once we've got the French version and the German version and all the other versions, we'd like the translated version to be posited in their own national libraries too. So let's write this history for a community by a community. I think it could be really interesting to work with other people from around the world, and we definitely want to share this. Before I say goodbye and thanks, I will speak briefly for myself. Lance, thank you very much for letting me have the mic. I've been part of some amazing groundbreaking projects before, but nothing quite as enormous as this. Why is it enormous? Well, 20 years, 21 years this year, our podcasting has been going for that long. That is an achievement. Yet, in its 20 years, podcasting has been denigrated, dismissed, dissed. Podcasting is all washed up, some people say, on its last legs. This is a repeated untruth. Podcasting is still going strong. Why? There is no license needed to podcast. You can do anything you want with it, local laws allowing. Anyone can start a podcast today with a minimum of equipment. You can get it online tonight and share it. By tomorrow, you've got an audience of 10, and next week maybe it's reached 200, or maybe 2,000, or maybe 20,000, depending on how good you are at what you do. Whether your ideas are reaching people, and the luck you may have. And these days, you can make a decent living if you want to put the time in. But the most important thing is that podcasting is free for us to do. Free. And we fought for that in the early days, when it was all going to be subject to international broadcast regulations. All around the world, we lobbied hard to keep podcasting free. It worked. WIPO backed down. Podcasting is not broadcasting, though. Broadcasting has adopted podcasting, but it is like broadcasting. It is also like radio, like TV, but it's nothing like them really, because you can make a perfectly good podcast with just your mobile phone and a website. It's an astonishing thing, the freedom that we have. I don't take it for granted. I want to support it. I do want to make a sincerely truthful record of what's been happening for the last 20 years, and that's what inspires me personally. I look forward to working with more of you, and here's to a huge success and an inventive, inspirational and prosperous future. Thank you for listening.